In this chapter, I'm going to summarize what we have covered the whole course as the 11 golden rules of language learning. The 11 golden rules of language learning. Number 1. Expose yourself to the language every day. Spend deliberate time tinkering with the language. Language learning is an act of acquiring a set of skills. It requires deliberate and constant exposure. Even if it is half an hour every day, put in that effort. Number 2. Don't fear making mistakes. Dive in. Risk-taking can be the best language learning skill. Never feel sorry for making mistakes. Make them with enthusiasm. Mistakes are a necessary part of your learning journey. Native speakers appreciate the effort. Seize every opportunity to practice. Remember, language learning is a muscle training. Grow those muscles with lots of practice. Number 3. Be firmly convinced that you are a linguistic genius. You managed to learn your mother tongue, right? Then you are a linguistic genius. If anything demonstrates otherwise, blame it on the material, blame it on the difficulty of the language you want to learn, but not on yourself. The people who learned 5 or 10 languages in a few years aren't any more of a genius than you are. They just learned them the right way. But wait, you know the way now, so go for it. Also, research shows that as opposed to the myth, adults are better language learners than kids. Number 4. Learn to tolerate ambiguity. Language learning is a bittersweet chaos. Learn to cope with chaos and go with your hunches. Trust your instincts. A lot of times you can derive meaning from the context. You don't need to know every single word. We do this in our own languages, so why not do it in your second language? Number 5. Foreign language is a castle. It is advisable to surround it from all directions. Newspapers, TV, movies, technical and scientific papers, blogs, books, and the foreign visitor at your neighbors. This one I heard from polyglot Kato Loam. It summarizes immersion in the language, and using different things to learn will be much more fun than learning only in one form. Number 6. The best performers prepare for their shows beforehand. Keep writing down what you learn in the language and keep them somewhere you can easily review and then use them in your conversations. Have phrases to use when you are stuck. Memorize useful things that help you communicate. In short, be prepared for real-life conversations, but don't let preparation take over the actual practice stage. Your first practicing sessions will always teach you things you don't know, so don't take preparation too seriously. Number 7. Develop intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the kind of motivation that comes from inside an individual rather than from any external or outside rewards. In language learning, intrinsic motivation is better. So try to have fun learning a language. Focus on the pleasure, not the frustration. I believe all those polyglots who learn 30 languages, they do it for the joy, for the pleasure they get. Number 8. Languages are not taught, they are learned. Language learning is not an academic subject that a teacher can teach you. You need to do almost everything yourself. I'm not telling this to scare you. This should come as a relief because you can do almost everything. You don't need a teacher. Take control of your learning journey. So also learn through repetition. Don't study. Number 9. Learn words in sentences, in context, never isolated. In other words, learn sentences, not words. Learn phrases. Each language has certain ways of saying things, so if you learn phrases instead of words, you will speak much better. Employ the Pareto principle. It is going to speed up your learning big time. Learn the most useful things first. The most necessary things to learn should always come first in your learning journey. Remember, 80% of results come from 20% of effort. So try to choose that 20% in terms of usefulness and frequency. Number 11. And lastly, but most importantly, interact in your language every day. Opportunities are abundant. You don't need to travel. Find native speakers and events where you live or on the internet. Use what you've learned. Don't wait too long to put your language skills in practice. Researching polyglots and language learners, I haven't met or heard of anyone who became fluent without lots of practice and lots of interactions. There isn't any method or any program that will make you fluent without practice. It is important that you review the whole course during your language learning journey, because it might not be easy to learn and remember everything at once. But if you don't have time to review the whole course, at least review these 11 golden rules of language learning with regular intervals, and stick to your learning journey. Language learning is a challenge. It's a challenge not because it's too difficult to learn a language. It's a challenge because it's all about imperfections. It makes you vulnerable. It encourages you or makes it easier for you to make mistakes, and you are always prone to making mistakes in the process. But more importantly, you should be willing to tolerate uncertainty. You'll never have the perfect material to learn everything. There will always be something you lack and you can learn. Learning a language is hard because you have to be able to break up the patterns in your brain, your mother tongue, your old habits, and open your mind to a new world of your target language. But it is not too hard to learn. If you have learned a language once, which you learned your native language, you can learn a second one way easier. Now you have everything you need to learn a foreign language successfully. Now, please exit the course and go learn a new language.